I'm sort of scared that I'm gonna make a lot of people, maybe gay people, angry by sort of even talking to you. What do you think of that?
Well, I think you are taking a risk, Tim. But my sense is you probably respect truth. So you haven't compromised. You are, as far as I know, a gay man who is proud of his position in life. You're not threatened by people like me who have a different point of view. And you're open enough to have a conversation.
Het kan bijna geen toeval zijn dat er juist hier in Hongarije een internationale conferentie wordt gehouden. Over het recht om geholpen te worden als je van je gay zijn af wil. Conversietherapie heet dat. En het wordt in steeds meer landen verboden.
Welcome to the conference of the International Federation for Therapeutic and Counseling Choice. It is Hungarian on channel 2 or channel 3? Do we know? 2, Hungarian. There are so many people to welcome from 15 different countries, from churches, from NGO organizations, from different interest groups in different countries. Victor, it's such a joy. Thank you so much for us to have you. Thank you. It's actually the first time Victor and I meet at the conference. We've been working for over a year, actually, and see each other almost every day. But just give us a flavor of your story. Tell us how it began for you. Why are you here? What's the beginning of your story?
Okay. I'm very excited to meet all of you here. Very excited to be here. My story kind of began 3.5 years ago when I came out as ex-gay in my country in Romania. And I just want to focus on this thing. Like, I was a 22-year-old guy and I didn't know too much about life. I just knew what happened in my heart and what God did with me.
Victor, just so that we understand clearly, what was the issue for you? Was it homosexuality? Was it gender confusion, or what?
Yes, I've been struggling with same-sex attraction since a very young age, and I also deal with gender dysphoria. I never felt comfortable in my body with being a man because I'd never had good role models in my life, and all the things that I've been through in my childhood and teenage life had a huge impact on my developing as a person. But, you know, it's been more than a year since I'm completely comfortable in my body, and I would never want to be anything else.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much.
Waar ben ik verzeild geraakt? Ex-gays? Ik weet gewoon echt niet wat ik ervan moet vinden. Aan de ene kant is het een beetje eng, al deze mensen bij elkaar. Maar aan de andere kant, ik voel me hier ook wel op mijn gemak. Het zijn aardige mensen, zo op het eerste gezicht. En ik voel me ook niet bedreigd of zo. Het lijkt wel alsof ik hier in een soort omgekeerde wereld terecht ben gekomen.
What kind of people are here?
There are people who want to know how to leave unwanted same-sex attractions and gender confusions. But the majority would be professional counselors, psychotherapists, psychiatrists, medics, pastoral care workers who are involved in supporting those people.
And is it a big group of people who have this, what did you call it, unwanted same-sex attraction?
Well, there's a steady flow. It's difficult to anticipate how many there are, but we're never short of clients. In fact, there's more clients than there are people who can help them.
How did you end up here?
Well, I struggled my whole life.
With?
With homosexuality, with homosexual feelings. And some gender confusion, I would say, as well.
And gender confusion is you felt more like a woman?
Well, sometimes I did. Or I identified more with women. I was very underconfident with the same sex. And it made me feel more comfortable, perhaps, with girls and with friends who were female.
And what's wrong with that? I have a lot of female friends.
There's nothing wrong with that, but there came a time in my life where I wanted to marry and have my own children, but there was an underlying conflict in me. I felt underconfident because I also had attraction for men. So to cut a very long story short, I did get professional help, and they were sympathetic to my goals.
And what was the professional help then? Therapy.
Yes, I spoke to a psychotherapist and...
To get rid of the homosexuality?
Well, certainly to understand it. I was in conflict. And I wanted to move away from any kind of homosexuality because I felt that this was inconsistent with my marriage to a woman.
So we have clear evidence that sexual attraction behaviors, anyway, can be modified autonomously with self-determination. And these people, really what makes them unique is that they refuse to introject the dominant LGBTQ narrative. And I don't know if you're aware, but this group of people said the more politically controversial a topic, the more it is in the public interest to illuminate it in a revealing and unbiased manner. And we agree. And so here we are. 30% cited religious reasons. They wanted their values, their faith values, to be centered, not their sexual attractions. 37% said they wanted to marry a woman. They wanted a traditional family. They wanted children. They wanted this life. They wanted to pursue this life. So, conclusions here, reintegrative therapy interventions resulted in a remarkable improvement in well-being for men seeking sexual attraction fluidity. In other words, this group of people can actually make choices for themselves and make a difference in their own lives.
I'm ex-transgender. I lived as a man for 6 years until my faith in God convicted me that I needed to decide whether Christ was enough for me alone or whether I really needed transgenderism when I already had God.
I am somebody who has experienced both same-sex attraction and obsessive-compulsive disorder. And it was upon examining these issues in myself that I first was sparked into interest of how it might apply to the many clients who suffer in a similar way.
This is a very mind-blowing experience for me, this convention. I was surrounded by ex-gays. Well, I'm still gay. And I thought, this really can't be true. Is it possible for me to get rid of this feeling that is not really a feeling, but is part of who I am? What do you think about that?
I think you should have the absolute freedom to live the life that you feel is authentically part of you. The issue is that the people who surrounded you got to the point where they felt that this is not who they are. Mm-hmm. And I think this is my argument, that people should have the freedom to go in the direction that they want to. I'm not calling for, all gay people to be criminalized, but a certain part of the LGBT lobby is claiming that what we do should be criminalized.
I still struggled with same-sex lust. I had to overcome pornography addiction. It was a process. It wasn't like, okay, now I'm a Christian, all my problems are fixed. It was nothing like that.
Okay, so as I told you, I'm still gay. And this is the first time ever, I guess, that I met, well, not one, not two, but maybe 4, 5, 8, 12 people who describe themselves as ex-gay. That is something for me. My head is going, I'm going to sleep very well tonight, I know for sure.
I know the feeling, don't worry.
Because all your stories confront me with something that is the possibility, as you say it, for me to become straight or find my true straightness, or I don't know how to really exactly describe it, but that is just something that
I'm seeing the look on your face. It's like soup in your mind. It's like so much going on, and I really feel for you there. So I think Matthew and Victor might have maybe some more applicable things to say.
I can certainly say that I've come to understand that the same-sex desires are only a symptom. They're not who you are. There are things that can happen to us in our upbringing that affect our sexual development because they become unmet needs. Needs that we desire to see met in our lives, but they don't end up finding fulfillment.
So what you say is maybe something happened in my life that made me think I am gay?
That's what we want to suggest. And there are some things as well that you won't even remember. Those are the things, how can you remember what happened in the first 3 years of your life? What if something happened while you were in your mother's womb? When I look at you, Tim, when we look at you, we don't speak to a homosexual man, or we don't treat you, or we don't speak of you as a homosexual. And this is the freedom that we find. But at the crux of this is how we define homosexuality. And so we talk of homosexuality as an action.
I would like to just continue the energy that we began yesterday. So would you take a look at this film, and don't worry if you don't understand it, but go along with the exercise that I think it brings.
Warm greetings from California, the United States of America. What I'd like to talk about today is gender as mission.
For me, being gay is such a part of me. I cannot see it apart from myself.
Sure.
And you all say, we left this behind.
First of all, I respect your right to identify as who you want to be. And I understand that we have a different worldview. But maybe I can ask you the same question. Will you also give me the right to identify as heterosexual if I so feel it? Will you give me the benefit of the doubt? Or will you say that I'm deluded, that I'm confused, and that I'm deceiving myself? I think that, you know how some people say, well, you're brainwashed, right? We've all heard it before. But I just think that we choose what influences our minds. So perhaps you have allowed yourself to be influenced by culture around you, and that's fine if you want to do that. All I'm saying is that I have a different influence in my life, and from my worldview, homosexuality is not consistent with God's purpose and God's design for mankind, and I believe that with all my heart, because I have experienced it.
Twee Nederlanders op de geheime homo-genezingsconferentie op dit leuke bungalowpark. Ik zit een beetje met mijn oren te klapperen, met mijn ogen te klapperen. Alles klappert. Want ik hoor hier dus dat ik van mijn homoseksualiteit kan afkomen. Maar dat kan toch helemaal niet?
Als je me dat 25 jaar geleden had gevraagd, had ik gezegd van, zou je het zelfs wel willen? Ten eerste, ik zou zeggen, het is niet mogelijk. Ten tweede, zou je het willen? Het was een moment in mijn leven waar ik helemaal totally oké was met het hele homoseksuele gebeuren in mijn leven. Weet je, ik heb het allemaal meegemaakt, inclusief een partner aan AIDS overleden. Dus ik wist echt wel wat het inhield. Alleen ik heb er andere keuzes in gemaakt.
Dus maar je bent nu hetero?
Ik heb in ieder geval al 20 jaar een heel lief en een fijn huwelijk met een prachtige vrouw. En
je zegt niet, ik ben hetero?
Ja, weet je, ik vind de stickertjes zo lastig. Want anderen zeggen, ik hoor ook heel snel van, oh, dan ben je dus nu bi. En dan denk ik, ja, ik wil zo'n sticker niet. Dus daar heb ik het ook nooit voor gedaan.
Een hele stomme vraag, maar dan maakt het voor mij misschien dan gewoon een beetje begrijpelijk. Zie je dan nooit meer een knappe jongen?
Ja, natuurlijk wel. Ja.
Wel?
Ja.
Alleen vroeger, als ik een knappe jongen zag, dan had ik direct het gevoel, oh, daar moet ik wat mee. Ja, die noodzaak is er niet meer.
Nee.
Maar die onbeheersbare drang om daar dan seks mee te willen hebben, ja, die is weg.
What happens in the therapy?
Well, typically, when somebody contacts us, I'll find out a bit more about them. Make sure it's not some undercover journalist, which happens quite often. And then I'll invite them to a session, either face-to-face if it's possible, or online, Zoom, whatever. And for about 50 minutes, I'll just try to listen to their life story. But one of the things I'm listening for is, why have they come? And if they've been sent, a church has sent them, or a spouse has sent them, or parents have sent them, then that's not a situation that I can deal with. I have to know that they are there because they want to be. But what it is, to put it in the simplest terms, it's looking underneath the homosexual behaviors to look at what the emotional need is that has become sexualized. So a man...
So beneath the homosexuality is something else.
Yes, an emotional longing, the longing for connection.
So Mike, you say, in a way, to me, it is possible for me to turn into a straight guy. Not like this, but it is, in a way, it is a possibility.
There is such a thing as sexual fluidity that leads to change when it comes to the way we express our sexuality. You don't know that at some point, as impossible as it seems now, that there isn't a woman one day who you would fall deeply in love with. I would say for your best mental health, I would say it's good to not close the door.
Eigenlijk wil ik hier helemaal niets mee te maken hebben. Dat je therapie kunt krijgen om een hetero leven te gaan leiden. En ik geloof ook helemaal niet dat dat kan. Ik ben al zolang ik me kan herinneren hartstikke gay. Geen ex-gay of Hongaarse conservatief die daar iets aan gaat veranderen. Ik herinner me dat ik me als jonge jongen van 12 probeerde af te trekken op Britney Spears. Maar het lukte pas toen ik me richtte op de dansers achter haar. Toch laat alles wat ik op de conferentie heb gehoord me niet los. Want ik sluit ook helemaal niet uit dat er in je jeugd iets kan zijn gebeurd dat van invloed is geweest. Eigenlijk ben ik wel heel benieuwd waar Mike op uit zou komen als ik bij hem in therapie zou gaan.
Hi, Mike.
Hi there, Tim. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So, if you could tell me something about your life and how things went for you growing up, that would be really helpful.
I was born I was the first child of my parents. They had a daughter after me, my sister, and I think I had a sort of a happy childhood. But when I think when I was 4, my dad left us.
Oh.
So my parents got divorced, and I grew up mostly living with my mom and my sister. Then I think when I was 10 or 11 years old, my dad and my mom came back together, and my dad left us again 2 years later.
Let's just stay for a few minutes with what happened with your dad, if that's okay. How was that for you?
That wasn't a fun time, and I felt sorry for my mom. I felt sorry for my sister, and I felt sorry for myself.
So you were the eldest child, and you were would it be accurate to say you were the man of the house then, again?
Well, that's a fact, yeah.
So my sense is there's an awful lot that is kind of swallowed. You just got on with it, and you're concerned about your mother and your sister. So you just have to make the best of it, by the sound of it. So, Tim, What about friends, male friends, during all this time? Did you have others, of the same sex who were around you that you felt connected with?
Not a lot of. Mostly, most of my friends were girls.
So my guess is you felt it was more comfortable with the girls. Is that correct?
Yeah, because the guys at my school, they just wanted to sort of play soccer and talk about girls, and
That wasn't your thing.
that wasn't really my thing.
I get this picture of a sensitive boy, and any trust and any sense of bonding and relationship with his father is damaged. In this scenario, the father is representing instability, and so there's more of an identification with the female.
And Mike, are you saying that eventually turned out into homosexuality?
What I'm saying is that I think very often what happens in homosexuality is that the masculine becomes mysterious because we didn't have the fathering, perhaps. And because it's the fathering and the closeness with the peers that teaches us our place in the tribe of men. And in your development as a little boy, there was an over-identification with the feminine. Then I think it becomes easy to see how masculinity then becomes mysterious. And I'm drawn to something that is different to me. And therefore you were drawn to it. And they find it with someone of the same sex.
Yeah. And do you think, Mike, that in my life I will sort of put the gay aside and live a straight life?
What I do think, I hate these labels, gay and straight, Tim, but what I do think is the more you grow and continue your emotional journey in life and the more fulfillment you find, I wouldn't be surprised if the day happens when you say, okay, I've done that, I want to go in another direction. And I think you should be allowed to do that. But I'm not sure any of us will be around to help you.
Well, yeah. Ooh. Yeah. I don't really see myself together with a girl, but maybe. Maybe.
Liedje gaan we zingen? Schuitje varen?
Het lijkt wel alsof er ineens een ander filter over mijn jeugd is gelegd. Het idee dat ik misschien helemaal niet born this way ben, is gek, maar ook wel prikkelend.
Nee, nou niet meer. Papa moe.
Wat vinden jullie van Paarse Vrijdag? Ja? Ja? Ja! En waarom dan?
Ja, dit is gewoon fijn. Het is gezellig allemaal met z'n allen. Ja.
En kan je hier op school makkelijk uit de kast komen?
Ja, zeker. Heel goed, ja. Ja, heel makkelijk.
Zouden jullie zelf hier uit de kast durven komen?
Ja, sowieso ja.
Wat een fijne school.
Ja, precies.
En is het door die GSA ook makkelijker geworden om hier uit de kast te komen?
Ja, voor mij wel.
Ja?
Ja.
Ben je uit de kast gekomen?
Ja.
Echt waar?
Mijn ouders en zo. Ja, ze zijn allemaal heel sportief naar me toe.
En wanneer ben je uit de kast gekomen?
En mei.
Oh mijn god, helemaal vers ben je.
Ja.
En hoe was dat?
Ik was wel een beetje nerveus, maar ik ken ook heel veel mensen uit de GSA en die waren gewoon heel sportief naar me toe. Dus ja, ik was wel blij dat dat zo was.
Ja?
Ja.
Gefeliciteerd.
Dank je.
Op school had ik had hier al meteen door, hey, ik ben anders en hier is iets mis of zo. En ik voelde me heel erg ondergerepresenteerd hier op school. En ik kom zelf uit een regenboogfamilie. Dus,
Een regenboogfamilie?
Ja, mijn moeder is lesbisch. Zij heeft ook een nieuwe partner. Zij is heel erg aardig. Zij doet ook verschillende dingen met de LGBTI-community. En wat ik ook nog even wil zeggen is, er zijn mensen die praten over de regenboogpropaganda en allemaal van dat soort dingen. Sommigen zeggen zelfs dat wij daar gedeelte van zijn. Alleen wij willen niemand ervan overtuigen om homo te zijn of om trans te zijn. Wij willen gewoon een veilige plek zijn voor mensen om er naartoe te komen zodra zij klaar zijn, zodra zij ons willen helpen of dat ze willen dat wij hun kunnen helpen. Dus zoiets.
Denk je überhaupt dat dat kan? Stel dat jullie propaganda zouden verspreiden, dat iemand dan ineens homo wordt of lesbisch wordt of trans wordt.
Ik denk het niet. Nee, ik bedoel, als wij hetero zouden kunnen zijn, dan ben ik er vrij zeker van dat we dat dan ook zouden zijn.
Al die verschillen, al die mogelijkheden. Ik voel me als gayman bijna ouderwets. Alsof er een nieuwe generatie aankomt die per dag bepaalt wat hij wil zijn en iedereen vindt het prima. Alsof die hele vraag, word je het of ben je het, in één klap onbelangrijk is geworden. Alles lijkt fluïde. Maar zelf ben ik nog niet zo ver.
Okay, Tim, we're going to explore with different exercises male and female skills. Up, step, left, down, up, down. Very good. Up, circle, and then descending. Your ability to shift from one element to the other one, it also gives you the ability of fluidity for gender skills.
So you say, by this example, in nature, everything is fluid.
Nature is very diverse. You know, you have asexual and sexual type of procreation, and you have all sorts of species that you cannot define of male, female. You know, you sit here, the moss. It's one single individuum, but it will produce something like a semen, and that will reach other ones, and then it will procreate within itself.
Really?
Yes. So nature is really extremely diverse, and that there's so many different options. So I think humans, we are not limited only by what our body defines. We can explore more options.
It's almost like we forget humans are nature too.
We do. We are nature, and we have the possibility of making choices.
And losing the boxes.
Exactly. So we can evolve with that.
Do we see boxes here? No. Good example.
Yeah. I discovered that the binary culture we have is found like 4,000 before Christ, and the non-binary system for gender, when you find 9 gender archetypes, should be maybe 27,000 or 20,000 before Christ. So that means that it's older than the binary system.
So it's not really important if you're like a man or a woman or gay or straight. It's about who you are, not what you are.
Exactly.
But should I then stop calling myself gay?
But personally, do you need that?
I need the gay label.
Yeah, do you feel you need that?
Well, I'm attracted to fall in love with the same sex, so that is...
Well, that is what you like, and that's exactly what you live. And then you just say, I just love men. Same sex. But this is you, right now, feeling and living who you are. Maybe in the future, you discover that you want to explore something else. Or maybe you discover that that's exactly what you want to do the rest of your life. But that choice is your choice. Maybe for another person, the journey will be different, and they will keep flowing, you know, between different experiences and choices. But maybe in the future we don't need that anymore. Everybody can be whatever they want to be in the moment they want to do it. Yeah. That would be a future.
Zin in? Look, there's the future. I can see it.
Future of possibility.